Am I the a-hole for refusing to speak to my mom after 35 years of no contact now that she's old? Okay, so I, 56 female, have been total no contact with my mother for 35 years because she married 8 times, had 6 kids, all different fathers, and parentified me since I was 10. She allowed violations to happen to all 3 of us girls, and actually told me to shut up, he didn't hurt you, when she walked in and saw it happening to me. She lied about who my father was, and I didn't find out until I was 50 and did one of those DNA tests. I am the only child that went to college and made a life for myself. The others are druggies. So, I got a Facebook message from her oldest one, the one that did a crime she saw, saying I need to pitch in to take care of her, since she's not doing well. So, my anxiety is off the charts. I need to say that they all live in the Southwest and I live on the East Coast. I replied that if he contacted me again, I would call the police. Now the sisters are trying to get me to take her in as you have a big place and money. I haven't spoken to my siblings in over a decade. I told them that they had no idea what is going on in my life, so kick rocks. So am I the a-hole for continuing my no contact with them all? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Just read the title and I'm already at nope. And now that I read half of it, hell to the no. Block everyone, move, change your name, dye your hair, consider plastic surgery, and never ever do a publicly available DNA test. So you already did a DNA test. Your best bet is a pack of angry Jack Russell Terriers guarding the perimeter of your home. OMG, you made me laugh so hard. Thank you. I have vicious Yorkies and lots of pew-pews. Not a-hole. That sounds awful. I'm so sorry. You don't owe them anything. It sounds like you know that intellectually, but it's getting to you emotionally, which makes total sense. I would suggest not only blocking them, but maybe talking to a counselor and getting some extra support. Hearing from them sounds like it's bringing up old trauma. Having some extra support can help you stay strong and stay in no contact when they try to guilt you, as you know they will, and hopefully will also give you longer-term peace. I wish you the best. Thank you. I have been in therapy for a number of years. I moved across the country 7 years ago because I couldn't get the siblings to respect boundaries. Best thing I ever did. I haven't let myself make friends here yet, but maybe soon. Thanks again. I'm so sorry your family sucks. Good for you for putting physical distance between you all. Please, please do not feel guilty. Your feelings are pangs of hurt over what you never had. Feel them, remember the loss of your childhood and bio family, and move on without guilt. We Reddit strangers totally support you. Your mental health is so important. Not the a-hole. Why were they not all blocked? Hadn't heard from any of them in 10 years because I had blocked them. But some idiot showed them how to make new accounts because none of them are smart enough to do it on their own. Lol. Not the a-hole. My partner comes from an insanely abusive and toxic family, his mother being the root of all evil. He once told his therapist that he feels bad for not talking to her because she's getting old. His therapist asked him if he thought her aging erased all that she had done. Obviously it had not. He said just because someone is old doesn't mean they automatically become a better person or regret all the damage they had done. It just means they're old. Just keep blocking. You don't owe any of them anything. Now for the mini update. Okay folks, hope this is the way to update. I decided to do what like 100% of what y'all said. I sent a group email to the lot of them, telling them that I would not be engaging in their theatrics. They could figure out what to do with Mommy Dearest, and I will not be a part of their solution. I said I will be blocking all of them, and if they contacted me in any way, shape, or form, law enforcement would be contacted. Then just for good measure, I told them all to buzz all the way off, and have the day you deserve. Thanks everyone for reaffirming what I knew was right. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cater for my sister's wedding after she ghosted me for 5 years? I'm male 33, I'm a professional chef and own a successful upscale restaurant in my city. My younger sister, female 29, and I used to be best of friends until 5 years back when we had a falling out over a minor issue. She lent a prized book of mine to her friend without asking me, and it came back in a state of disrepair. The disagreement spiraled into a fight and she cut me off completely, refusing to communicate with me despite my numerous attempts to apologize and fix things. 3 weeks back, out of nowhere, I received a call from her. My joy was short-lived when she quickly got to her point. She was getting married and wanted me to cater her wedding, for free. Moreover, her request was not merely to provide a main course, but also specialized gourmet meal options for her cosmopolitan guest list. A task that involves a lot of work and money. I've felt a pang of hurt. It felt incredibly selfish and hurtful that after 5 years of silence, she contacted me for a favor, an expensive one at that. Hence, I declined, telling her that while I was happy about her upcoming nuptials, it was unfair of her to expect me to invest so much of my time, resources, and expertise for free, especially after the way she treated me. Now my parents are upset with me, saying that it's been long and I should have forgiven her. They think I'm being vengeful and using this opportunity to get back at her. But honestly, I'm just deeply hurt. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. She didn't call to make amends. She hasn't apologized. She called for expensive freebies. If she wanted to make amends, she would have apologized and offered to pay for what she was requesting. Remind your parents that this isn't you getting back at her, but refusing to pay X out of pocket for someone who is now a stranger. Mom and Dad are on your case because they don't want to get stuck with a catering bill. Hold firm. Nowhere in there does OP say that he's even actually invited to the wedding. Sis definitely sounds like the kind of a-hole who would tell him that he's there as a caterer, not a guest. If you're catering it, you basically can't attend. Maybe toward the end of the reception, when the rest of the staff is only doing cleanup. But the amount of prep beforehand probably rules out both the wedding and most of the reception. Thanks, I really appreciate this answer. Thinking about the next steps. Might try talking to my parents and sister. If you happen to make it to that wedding, apologize to her partner for me, because your sister sounds like an entitled nightmare. She didn't even try to sugarcoat the request, and on top of that is actively trying to take advantage of you and your success. This request goes beyond forgive and forget. I could understand if the agreement was to pay for the cost of ingredients and utilities, and maybe excluding your time. But to suggest what is probably hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, is simply outrageous. Imagine if you did this for free. I'd bet just about anything to say, she immediately goes back to radio silence. You are not the a-hole. Stay strong and hold on, OP. Don't give in and stick to your guns. Good luck. She didn't even try to sugarcoat the request. Yes, because in her head, she is kind of doing the first move and giving him the opportunity to apologize by doing this. That's how entitled people work. Not the a-hole. Not sure how her destroying your prized book makes you the bad guy, but the fact she thought she would guilt you into doing this for free is hilarious. Tell your parents you will do it if they pay you for it. Full price now, no discount. If they agree, then go ahead and do it. Otherwise, do not feel bad at all. Also would not go to the wedding. And the payment before the wedding. If you let it after, I bet they will not pay you. I wouldn't even allow her in the restaurant or her party. She'll probably destroy something else. I'm sorry that she's using you, but I wouldn't help her. And tell your parents to mind their business. They're not the ones having to shell out the cost, and the only reason they're pushing for it, so they can get it for free. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying I am not an aunt? I, 30 female, have no contact with my older brother, 34 male, or his wife, 28 female, and have not done for over a year. For around 3 years prior to that, our relationship was only upsetting. No matter what I did or said, his wife would claim I was behaving rudely or maliciously, and would scream and cry until I apologized. My brother, her parents, and her brother contacted me over the years to explain this was how she related to girls. Screaming and crying and reconciling afterwards was her way to be close to girls, and I was urged many times to play along and accept this about her, because over time we would become close from it. But it got to the point where it was unbearable. Every message and interaction with her is exhausting, and she delighted in putting me down in front of other people. My brother absolutely enabled this and made everything worse. In fact, the final straw was him secretly recording a conversation we had where he asked me some deeply personal questions. At the time, I thought he was trying to be vulnerable together to mend our relationship, and I caught him playing the recording to her as they both laughed at me. I got a job opportunity far away and jumped at it, making going no contact suddenly much easier, and have not spoken to either of them since. They have also not tried to contact me since I moved. They recently had a child, something I only know about because my mom told me, and she has begun pestering me to visit them and send gifts/messages. I have tried to say no thank you, and even explained if they reached out, I would respond, but I am not interested in initiating contact. But every conversation I have with her now begins and ends with, "You are an aunt now. You need to act like it," or some variation. So today I said, I am not an aunt. I am not in this baby's life in any way, and she was really upset with me. She asked me if I was rejecting her grandchild, which of course I am not. She is welcome to have a relationship with whoever she wants and be as involved as she wants. But I am not in this baby's life, as an aunt or otherwise, and I don't see that changing in the future, honestly. The conversation only soured from there, with her insisting that if I refuse to accept I am an aunt, then I am claiming she is not a grandmother. She's now not speaking to me and insists I'm being unnecessarily hurtful and creating sadness in a time that should be happy. I really don't think of myself as an aunt at all, but I'm now wondering if it was cruel to voice that thought. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. You are not the a-hole, but you might need to consider going no contact with your mother as well. It seems like it's not only your brother enabling your sister-in-law's weird behavior, but also your own mother. What has your father to say about all this? Do you have any other siblings? I have 2 other younger brothers who both think she is nutty, but she adores them, so they have a civil relationship. She constantly makes posts about how she loves them and calls them little/big brother, never their names. The only time she got upset with them directly, as far as I know, was when they refused to call her big sister in return. But about a week later, she acted like nothing had happened and never brought it up again. Her own brother told me she just knows how to be close to boys better than girls, and that is why she gets on well with them. I have never asked them to get involved, but my youngest brother has had arguments with our oldest one over her behavior a few times. It just never goes anywhere. But he does not speak to her directly anymore, just through my brother, and only sees her at family functions because of how she treats me. He has, however, gone to visit the baby, and it was the first time he went to their house. My parents are divorced, but my dad is on my side. He was the one who told me to cut them both out of my life. He actually took them out for a meal and discussion over it, right before I left, to get a feel of the situation and see how we could fix everything. But he told me afterwards there was nothing to be done, because they seemed to enjoy the whole situation. He said to him, it seems they like having an outside person to blame things on, and I was just unlucky to be chosen for that role. Oh wow, this is just so messed up. Sorry to say it, but this is truly good riddance. But looking at this, it might be that your older brother and sister-in-law are pressuring your mother into making you come to see the baby by restricting her access to the baby. I can't see a different explanation for her being so desperately connecting you not wanting to be an aunt to her being a grandmother. It's good that you are not completely alone and still have your father and younger brothers as support in this matter. I hope your bond with them will stay strong and wish you the best for the future. Stay strong. I actually did not consider that she was being pressured by them in some way. I always assumed they never spoke about me at all, so thank you for that perspective. If it is true and they are holding her time with the baby at ransom until I comply, then I can understand why my comments upset her so much. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not entering a queue for the 2nd time when my girlfriend gave her food away to a homeless man? I, 24 male, was out with my girlfriend, 25 female tonight, and we were in the city center. It was crowded, and the queues for everything were extremely long. There was a food truck that sold tacos that she really wanted to try. The queue is very long, and she gets tired quickly, so she sat on a bench while I waited for in line to get her tacos. After about 30 minutes of standing in line, I got her tacos and we started walking to a nearby restaurant to get myself some dinner too, before we head home. On the way, there was a homeless man sitting down in the street, and before I know it, she diverted towards him to hand him her food. I thought that was quite sweet actually, and we continued walking, until she asked if we could go back and get more tacos, because she actually really wanted them, and didn't want food from where I was getting mine. I said the line is even longer now than when we left it, and I can't just stand in line for over 30 minutes again. I said she can pick a restaurant and we'll go get food there, but she insisted that she had those tacos in her mind all week, and she really wants them. I said the line was even longer by the time we left, and it wouldn't make sense for us to go back, and for me to stand there all over again for those tacos. She said she'll compromise and stand there till she gets tired, then we can switch, which would have been maybe 10 minutes. I said I'm already tired and fed up because of the extremely long day I had, and I would really appreciate if she doesn't push this and we can get them next weekend. She said, I didn't ask you to go to war, you know. All you have to do is stand there. So I said, if it's nothing, you won't need me for it, and you can stand in line yourself. She didn't say a word to me the whole way home. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You stood in line once. While her thought in reaching out and offering her food was kind, that doesn't give her an expectation of you standing in the line again. She should maybe look at it as her own sacrifice for helping someone who was hungry. This right here, she didn't really think that through. It's highly inappropriate that she asked him to get her more tacos after she gave hers away. Yeah, this kind of feels like someone donating money to a charity but using their daddy's credit card to pay. Sometimes I wonder if people type out a whole story of something they think is about themselves. I don't see all the underlying red flags about their significant other's character they revealed. Not the a-hole. She could have stood in the line herself or picked something else. Yeah, she can stand in the line again while Opie gets his food, and they'll maybe be done at relatively the same time. I suggested this actually, but she said she physically cannot stand for that entire time on her own, and she'll need to sit after a while, so I need to be there. Not the a-hole. You don't get to inconvenience other people for your good deed. Thank you. I've been in this situation before, and it sucks. I even started to question my acquaintance with that person because they got me in this situation far more often than I'd prefer. And the worst thing is, I started to believe I was a bad person for not helping someone help someone else.
Would I be the a-hole if I didn't pay for my daughter's college tuition? I, 44 male, am divorced and have been for over 10 years now. My ex-wife and I have 2 children, one son Ben, 19, and one daughter Lauren, 17. My ex-wife and I split custody 50-50, and I paid child support on time every month, as well as ensured our children had everything that they needed for sports and other activities. At a young age, I started a college fund/early life starter fund for the kids, which they were aware of, and has grown to be a large amount through the years. Over the years, I have always had my children on my time and tried to be present in their lives. Ben has always been happy to come to my home, have family time, tell me about his life, have a father-son role pretty much. Lauren, on the other hand, is the total opposite. She pulled away at a young age, and when she was old enough to decide for herself, she cut me out pretty much 100%. I spent years of reaching out to her and trying to build some type of bridge with her, but nothing ever worked. She went to a few different therapists, and I can only hope it helped in some other aspects of her life, but it certainly didn't help in a family role. Over the past few years, my son has become angry with his sister and calls her ridiculous. I've told him to not mind that and it's not her fault, but him leaving for college changed me on the whole thing. When he left, I felt like I lost my only child, and I gave up trying to have a relationship with Lauren. She never reached back out, and neither did I. It felt terrible at first, but it's much easier to deal with mentally for me. A few weeks ago, Lauren and her mother reached out to talk about her college tuition and where she had decided to go. They asked me if I wanted to go walk the school with them again, and I declined. I told them that I felt I was only being invited because my checkbook was needed. I informed my ex and Lauren that I would not be paying for college or any other of her expenses after her 18th birthday, June, and that I was going to use the money elsewhere. My ex blew up at me. My daughter didn't say anything, and when they told my son, he called to tell me he thought I was right and Lauren was to blame. I wasn't a fan they told him to begin with. However, now there's a rift between the 3 of them. Should I just let this whole thing go and pay for her education? Would I be the a-hole if I stuck to my decision? Now for the top comments. Info. Why did she cut you off? You leave a very important detail out. When my ex and I divorced, my ex kept our house, which was close to her friends and family. I moved to the other side of town, maybe 25 minutes away. She pulled away after I moved out and has told me that she wants to spend time with her friends and grandparents. Just to say, I voted not the a-hole. Is it possible that your daughter blames you for the breakup, or was it a take sides kind of situation? My ex-wife's entire family blames everything on me. My ex-wife's sister was having an affair. I found out she was covering for her sister's whereabouts and why, and told her husband. Not the a-hole. I do not understand Reddit's hive mind to spout that parents should accept their children's hurtful behavior, especially when they're old enough to know that their actions hurt. I also don't get why someone who goes no contact is entitled to someone to fund their lifestyle after no longer being a minor. Parents are human beings. They aren't infallible individuals with no feelings. Lauren is being incredibly selfish and extremely entitled to think she should be funded for college by a person she has chosen to exit a relationship with. Opie is not a walking bank. You spent time reaching out, and she has blocked it every term. At some point, this adult, because college students are adults, has to recognize there are consequences to your actions. I think Ben is completely right. Your ex-wife should be blowing up at you. She should have spent those previous years helping her daughter to therapy to understand this intense dislike. Lauren went to therapy, and Daddy basically blew her off when she was 10 because she wasn't the daughter he wanted. Now he's further punishing her by taking away her college fund at near last minute. No, he isn't punishing her. She chose to not have a relationship with him. Going no contact means no contact. It means no financial banking. She was a child. Technically, she's still a child. And his last-minute withdrawing money that was set aside starting years ago with the expectation that it would be used for her college, that is punishment. And now she's going to be an adult with adult responsibilities. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for preventing my ex from moving 3 hours away with our kids? It's created huge conflicts in both households now. My ex-wife blindsided me with news that she was moving 3 hours away with her fiancé because he got a better paying job. And the kids, who are 11 and 14, wanted to move too. I have week-on/week off custody. There was no way I was giving up that for just every other weekend visitation. I then found out that her fiancé had already sold his home here and had bought another one there. I immediately went to court to get an emergency order preventing the move. My ex begged me to let her go, but I refused. In the end, she was prevented from taking the kids more than 50 kilometers from where I live. Unfortunately, the fiancé broke up with my ex because of this, and she has had to move in with her mother while she looks for an apartment because she can't afford a big house anymore. I would like to say that I won, but I didn't. My kids are now extremely angry with me for causing their mother to lose her fiancé. They hate living cooped up in their grandmother's home, and are now taking out all their anger in our household. They've said some heartbreaking stuff to me and my wife. My ex, who I used to co-parent amazingly with, now does everything she can to create turmoil in my household. She has even verbally told me that she's going to use our kids to break up my marriage as revenge. And my kids have done stuff that make me believe she's going through with her threats. My wife is saying she's at her limit. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted though? I just didn't want to lose my kids. Info. Did you talk to your kids about whether or not they wanted to move before you sought an emergency order preventing it? Might they have been promised some sort of bribe to go? My fear would be that you may have won the battle by preventing the move, but that you stand to lose the war. At 14, your oldest is likely to be old enough to have their wishes given very serious consideration if they no longer want to stay with you. And if your youngest is not yet old enough, they're not far off. They wanted to move, but it was because they were promised a horse at the new house. I felt they were being bribed to be kept away from me. And kids have a sane custody when they're 15 where we live. My youngest is only 11. If this had been a proper discussion, I might have decided differently. But I felt forced to get the emergency order because it happened so last minute. This is probably going to be unpopular, but everyone sucks here. The kids are old enough to decide where they want to be. At any point during this, did you actually talk to them to see what they wanted? It doesn't sound like either of you are actually trying to put the kids first. Edit. Can you elaborate on what your children are doing that's ruining your marriage? At any point during this, did you actually talk to them to see what they wanted? And the kids, who are 11 and 14, wanted to move too. Yeah, I saw that, but I'm still wondering if he actually sat down and had a conversation with them before reacting the way he did. I just wonder if he actually tried to hear them out or just decided their feelings weren't valid. Like saying they only wanted to move due to bribes, which may be true, but did Opie come to that conclusion by having an honest conversation, or did he just decide that himself without listening to them? It could be that they genuinely wanted this new opportunity and they truly just liked their mother's new partner. Totally fair. He replied that it was because they were promised a horse at the new house. So it could have genuinely been bribe motivated, but it could also have been more complex. I do think at their age, their wants should have been considered more seriously than it seems they were. I also find weaponizing your kids to be abhorrent behavior, so I'm fully on board with everyone sucks here. This is awful, but you did not create this situation. She did. Not today, Hall, and the courts agree with you. She had to know this would be a problem. which is why she didn't tell you until it was too late for her to make other reasonable plans. If her fiancé actually broke up with her over this, they didn't have a very strong relationship to begin with. The next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole for making my half-siblings take DNA tests? My dad was a pro athlete. He wasn't famous, but he was a steady presence on a team that was. When his career ended after injury, his first wife divorced him, cleaned him out, and got custody of their kids, turned his kids against him, and never remarried so she wouldn't lose the alimony payments. When Dad met my mom, his ex threw a fit because mom came from a poor family / wasn't white, and according to his ex, she was a gold-digging hoe because she was pregnant before they got married. My mom died when I was young, and we struggled for money between the payments Dad was making and his injury / lack of education, making it hard for him to get a job. My half-brothers were really well off from his support payments and the money from their mom and her close friend she was living with. Whenever they stayed with us, they made it clear that they were only there because of the custody order and that they thought we were trash. When Dad saw how upset they were making me after my mom died, he stopped asking them to come. Dad passed away a few months ago. His will left everything to me, so I'm basically set for a modest life. As adults, my half-brothers never had contact with him, not even on holidays or his birthday. Suddenly, they're saying that I'm not his. They're going to compel a DNA test, that I influenced his will, and they're taking me to court. I have no doubts that I'm his, thanks to a DNA test I already took years ago for non-paternity reasons that they don't know about. What I am starting to question is if any of them are his sons. Would I be the a-hole for agreeing to take a test, but insisting that they have DNA tests too, knowing that I'm not going to give them anything even if they pass? They and their mother treated my parents and me horribly. I don't want to know how far the hypocrisy stretches. I also sincerely want to not have any of them actually be my family. Now for the top comments. Info. What would be the point of demanding DNA tests from these people when it changes nothing? Your father left a will. They are not in the will. DNA does not change that, so what's the point? I think depending on their relation, if nothing is given, they can contest the will, which I assume is why they're taking her to court, so it would just cement the fact they have no rights to anything of the dad's. They already aren't your family. Just go no contact with them. How would they even compel a test? Did your father have a will that said, my stuff goes to my favorite son / daughter, or did it say, my stuff goes to OP? Not they, Hull. They definitely are, but just drop the rope already, for your own mental health. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for trying to stop my dad having a baby with his wife? My 22 female, dad 52 male, and his wife 42 female got married around 8 years ago. She was initially very charming and sweet, but behind closed doors, she became very manipulative a few years into their marriage. I, still in university, moved in with my dad and his wife when I was 19, and she made it clear she didn't want me around. I also became increasingly concerned about the way she treated my dad. I witnessed constant gaslighting, and I could see him beginning to doubt himself all the time. They were also trying for a baby, and his wife had 2 miscarriages over this period of time. My dad let me know that he did not really want a baby. However, he wanted to make her happy. At that point, I did not have any problem with them having a child together. However, there was constant tension in the house, and his wife eventually moved out into a flat nearby. She maintained to my dad that they were still in a relationship, and he remained loyal to her. However, she became unavailable to my dad and was constantly out at bars, being cagey with her phone around him, etc. Basically, it seemed to me that she was stringing him along while possibly seeing other people. That was 14 months ago, and for the past 6 months or so, she has refused to contact my dad in any way other than sending each other letters back and forth. She has also since moved 7 hours away from us, and so her and my dad have not seen each other for around 6 months. About 9 months ago, my dad's mom, my grandma, died, and she did not answer any of his calls during this time period, although she knew what was going on. Recently, my dad has been really unhappy about how unavailable his wife is. He has been drinking much more, and seems really depressed. So the other day when I found one of the letters from my dad's wife to him, I read it. I know this was nosy and invasive, but I did out of concern for my dad. In the letter, She says that she has, as they have agreed, I didn't know this, been going to an IVF clinic and was about to start the screening process. However, the clinic have told her they won't go ahead with screening because her and my dad are no longer together. She then says to my dad that they could get a solicitor to draft a parental agreement, but she says this would cost them thousands of pounds. So she suggested that instead, they both lie to the IVF clinic and say that they are together. It seems to me as if she's trying to dissuade my dad from a legal document which would protect him. To an outsider, it seems very clear that she doesn't want a relationship with my dad, refusing contact, moving 7 hours away, constant ultimatums and game playing. But that she wants to have a baby with him because he will pay for the IVF and will have to pay child support. She does not work. He earns a good amount. I would like to contact my dad's wife. She hasn't spoken to me since my grandma died, if only so she knows someone is onto her. Am I the a-hole for wanting to step in here? Not the a-hole. She's abusing your father. I would have a frank discussion with him about what, if any, benefits he gets out of the marriage. He needs to get a legal separation at the minimum and a divorce, just to protect himself from whatever he is doing. I would like to contact my dad's wife. She hasn't spoken to me since my grandma died, if only so she knows someone is onto her. Opie, don't talk to her. Talk to your father like Dallas says. Not Dayhall. Hire a private investigator. Need pictures to show her with other men. She's probably living with another man. Lying to that man and definitely lying to your dad. She's trying to extort money out of him. Get your dad some help. He needs therapy to break out of whatever delusions he is under. Stepmom is diabolical. She doesn't need a baby. She wants money. She will convince him to deposit money in her account so that she can pay for treatment. Have your dad insist that the IVF has to be done in his city. Non-negotiable. Not a-hole. I would write the IVF clinic and tell them she and your father have lived 7 hours apart since X date. I would also write that they intend to lie in their forms, and you don't think that is in the best interest of a baby. I have thought about doing that. I don't know how I'd provide evidence though, and whether the clinic would even care. I wish I knew what clinic it was too. It's somewhere 7 hours away where she lives.